Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Riverdale, Season 6, Episode 16.
Chapter 111, Blue Collar.
I'm tired. We were watching Stranger Things all week, and we got more to do next week. Mixed bag for me. This Baby Anthony plot is insufferable. It is insufferable.
Also, apparently they just have fully retconned how Tony's pregnant.
We've been told that in the comments several times. I checked both Riverdale wikis, and at the time, they didn't say anything. But that is hard now, the deal.
They mix their sperm together, and they don't know.
Understand why Kevin wants this.
I don't either. It makes absolutely zero sense.
What is even the actual headcanon? Like, what's the canon reason? Because he thinks it's dangerous?
I get, yeah. Well, the reason that Kevin's giving is because the gang is dangerous. Moose had a more psychological theory about why Kevin was doing it. And then Percival is seemingly pulling a Voldemort with Baby Anthony because he's like, I am the future and so is Baby Anthony, but it can't be both. So it has to be me. I don't care.
I was tolerating it.
Yeah.
When the implication was that Kevin was seduced by Percival, but now that he's just straight with Moose, it's rendered the entire plot completely inert for me.
That's what I was gonna say too. I was like,
and also let's just throw Moose onto the sacrificial altar as well, because he was like, he was there with them at the end at the face off with I really truly hate it because I don't understand, because at the beginning of the season Kevin's motive was to go to Broadway to be a star, and so it's like, what gay single man was like, I needs to be a baby so I can move to New York and become an actor? Well, none of it makes any sense,
because he decided not to go to New York because they needed help taking care of Baby Anthony, and then Percival got to town. And now he wants to steal Baby Anthony, but I think he wants to steal Baby Anthony for Percival. But then you're totally right. Now that Moose is back in the mix, are you fucking Percival and having dinner dates with Moose? Like, what on earth is happening?
I guess it was a one-off. And it just like, because I've never enjoyed it, but like I said, I was sort of like, let's hear them out for a minute, because it kind of... If they were like I said, if it was campy, if it was like this really heightened thing, sure. But you're right. Dinner dates with Moose, absolutely not.
Also, there's so many red flags on everybody's thing, because I have multiple things to say regarding this. Tony and Fangs are having another meeting with a different social worker this time, or like a lawyer maybe, or whatever. And she's like, how long have you both been in the Serpents? And they both are like, from birth, except for Fangs says, I was born a serpent and I'll die a serpent. And I was like, so you are anticipating a gang-related death is what you're telling me. And then...
Well, she's trying to reframe it as a political activism group, which sure.
Tony has been trying to do that for like a whole season.
Well, but because the serpent origin was in like native, like, is it First Nations? That area? I don't recall the exact terminology.
Well, it was like they were a tribe, and it was like fighting.
And so part of me is like, well, go back to that versus the gang part of it instead of trying to make it into a third thing.
Yeah,
I cut you off. Where's your multiple?
Okay. So that was the first one. The second one is that Kevin is still living at the hotel, or at the casino, the like hotel that's attached to the casino. And his reasoning to Moose is that he needs a stable address, but he also needed to move out of his dad's place. None of these people... So
a casino hotel room is a stable address?
I was like, none of these people are thinking clearly, because it would absolutely look better for Kevin to still be living with his
the sheriff.
father.
The sheriff.
As opposed to... his, like...
Well, no, his father isn't the sheriff anymore. It's Percival, but...
Whatever, but it's like as opposed to his sugar daddy on the side and his boyfriend who just came back in his life after 7 years. It's diabolical.
Who may or may not be the trash bag killer.
It's diabolical. I literally don't understand. And then, then...
Vanessa Morgan is kind of making it work.
She's carrying
That's the
it
best. She's
as well as she can.
she kicked that door down.
Everyone else
punched her right in the moneymaker.
Having a really hard time. This season has been for me the season of the character assassination of Kevin, Fangs, and Alice Cooper. I'm
not ready to talk about Alice Cooper yet.
Because I still have things to say about Fangs and Kevin and Tony, and one of them is Fangs. So everybody now is working for Percival, and Archie. The like overarching plot is that Archie is trying to get Archie and Tabitha are trying to get them.
I was like Aaron Westbrook.
They're trying to get them to unionize so that Union. So they're trying to get them to do that. That's the overarching thing. Meanwhile, the workers have obviously gotten a worse deal than Percival initially set up because doy. And then secondly, it's like Fangs is like seemingly purposefully picking fights. So he goes and starts a fight with Kevin, to which Tony rightfully lets him have it and is like, I can't believe you're doing that. We're about to go in front of a judge. This is so bad if you had landed even one punch. So not only did he start a fight, but he's bad at it because he didn't even land one punch. And then after that, we got Britta back for one scene. She was babysitting baby Anthony. And then
she looked adorable.
She looked so cute. And she was like, oh, I can't find his pacifier. But like, I don't know, maybe Mr. Keller took it with him. So now Kevin and Percival have a totem of baby Anthony, to which Tony rushes over there and then just starts wailing on Kevin and is like, where is baby Anthony's pacifier? And if you ever come here again, I'm going to throw you out the window.
And Moose just sat there like a mobster's girlfriend. It was like
a mobster's girlfriend. It was fabulous. But I'm just like, you just gave Fang such a hard time. And then you left physical marks on Kevin's face and your hands. She was icing her hands later.
With brass knuckles.
And then it was, once Kevin and Percival were back on screen again, it became clear that the pacifier was going to be used for nefarious purposes.
For DNA. But, well, no, because Percival already knew that he wasn't the father.
Oh, yeah, and then Kevin's not the father. It's 100% Fangs. So now Kevin is in this fight for custody that he has literally no stake in. Because he's not with Fangs anymore, and he's not biologically related in any capacity to baby Anthony. So you're just trying to take a baby. And Moose even called him out and was like, I don't understand why you're trying to ruin two friendships for this baby. It's so senseless. I'm totally with you. I think the baby Anthony thing is so, like, why are we still doing it? Sorry, I just went on a whole thing.
No, I was getting there, but
those were all of the things about the baby Anthony story that I was like, what? What are we doing?
I mean, I've largely enjoyed this season.
Of course, yes.
But
it's still, okay, so for me, even though it was ridiculous and mostly bad, it was still pinging that off-the-wall banana pants Riverdale.
At least it's back to being bad in a fresh way.
Exactly.
Like, it's like...
Because, like, now we're learning all about the bureaucracy of the Riverdale social work system. And I'm just like, I guess.
So, I guess from there we can go to Betty's plot.
Wait, hold on, though. Percival can't be sheriff. He's the mayor. Is he both?
Then is Kevin sheriff? Remember he, like, deputized them or something?
Okay, maybe Kevin.
Because they were, like, storming in with guns at one point.
Maybe it's Kevin. Okay. I was like, I don't think he could be both. I mean, it's magic. I guess he could be both.
But I want to see baby Anthony. I want him to show up, and I want him to be played by Michelle Trachtenberg. So from there we can move on to Betty.
Yeah.
It was so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But it was dumb in a way that I enjoyed. Okay, I cannot explain my fondness for Wyatt Nash because he it's not even like American Idol or So You Think You Can Dance or one of those that I watched. He originated from Survivor. I have no actual. Okay. I think it's a stupid, dumb white face. Like, he just looks like if you had to draw a white guy from memory.
Yeah, sure.
You would just end up with that.
He is
mashed potatoes.
But he's very good mashed potatoes.
I don't know. There's something so funny about it. And the entire premise, so he's sick and it's maybe leukemia? They were very non-committal with whatever it was.
It's like some kind of blood disorder.
And him and Chick got separated after the breakout. So they haven't seen each other since then. So, because part of me, I believe you me,
so
the first place my mind went was, well, did they ever get married? But I just figured that the show wasn't going to acknowledge it.
I thought we watched them get married in their living room.
They did. Yeah. Well, Betty was like, did you ever get married? And like my point, sure. Okay, I phrased that wrong. But my point was like, but what about Chick?
Sure.
And part of me was like, they're just going to ignore that. And no, Betty was like, the first thing is how she greeted him.
Yeah.
And it she had this conversation with him that was so stupid because she's obviously still trying to understand her darkness and trying to mine what it means. And so she was asking Charles about his history and stuff, and apparently he trapped and killed a raccoon, and that was the source of his descent into madness. And he phrased it he is showing clear embarrassment and remorse.
Yeah.
And he's sort of I've always wondered what would happen if I could go back to that day and not do it. And I wish I could remember how I was going to phrase it in the moment, but it was so I've always wondered what would happen if I could just go back and choose to not be a killer. But since he did that one time, he was just condemned to it. I just imagine him doing all these terrible things and being like, that damn raccoon.
If only it had,
it was a blood curse that he entered into.
Sometimes, it almost always does start with the torture of small animals. But I agree with you that it's it can also stop.
But the implication was that he was weighing the options when it happened. He's I could choose good or I could choose bad. That would it wasn't he didn't say it I was compelled to do it, something in me. It was, I don't know. It was phrased very weird.
Okay.
And he came back home to die, I guess, so that Alice could put him out of his misery by smothering him.
Dude, what the hell?
I mean, it's not the worst way to go, but it is not the easiest.
Also, if he's that sick, he has to have morphine. Just push all the morphine.
He seemed fine. He seemed like he'd pulled his back or something. Yeah. That was the energy he was bringing. So in spite of that being his idea and his plan, the second it's off the table, he's like, I don't want to die, Betty.
Yeah.
And she had this fight with Alice. I don't understand what we're doing with Alice.
Me neither.
And I know it's largely an us thing.
Yeah.
That loves Alice so much. I know to most people she's
just whatever.
But
which I think that's the problem, is that we care so much because we like Mitch and Amick a lot, and Alice has been amazing in the past.
Season 2, she was really.
But I think the issue is that no one else gives as much of a damn about Alice, and so they use her as whatever they need in the moment, which to us makes a really broken up character. But to everyone else, it's just oh, it's this Alice again.
Remember when she was working for the CIA or the FBI or whatever?
Yeah, to take down Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah, and her and Betty stormed in as that. I love that, and she has her and Lily have such good chemistry together, and they make it work. But it's just. It's very weird. I did ultimately sort of enjoy it. I enjoyed watching Lily with Wyatt and Mädchen, but anyways,
it's super weird.
I just straight loved the Cheryl stuff.
Yeah.
I am still, there's something about Heather. Are you there with me? Is that just me?
Well, the minute that she was oh, I never thought I'd lay my hands on this book, I was I
forgot what they called it. It was a name.
It was a Necronomicon.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, Heather had an entire sentence where it was 7 of the words she said. I was
yeah, arcane and something. Yeah.
No, it wasn't eccentricities. It was
esoterica.
Yeah. But so they need a book.
They needed a book from Percival's, and so Heather taught Cheryl a spell to make herself invisible, and they got the book from Percival's.
Cheryl was also at the diner in the boxing ring with Archie and Tabitha, and she had a couple quips there that I was just oh man, it's
so nice having her in the mix again.
And then we had her with Veronica because they were what's the absinthe plot?
Shit.
Did I just jump ahead?
Oh, no. Veronica was like talking to Betty and
Well, so anyways,
Drake.
Cheryl got the book from Percival,
Yeah.
and now her and Heather have kind of admitted that they like spending time with each other.
Yeah.
So Cheryl, or Betty and Veronica and Drake were talking about. Well, they were talking about Veronica being toxic.
They were talking about that. I think she was like admitting it to Drake because she's like the supernatural person or whatever. And then they mentioned something about absinthe and the fact that Veronica was one of those lodges, like the rum lodges. And so then they got to talking about absinthe and how like wormwood is poison. It's poisonous. And so that's why it's like.
So Veronica is like producing record amounts of toxins, but then just metabolizing them.
Yeah. She basically got a hold of some wormwood from Cheryl and a book about producing absinthe, and then was like, I'm going to see if I can metabolize the poison in this leaf. And I was like, if Veronica starts pissing out absinthe to sell, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. But she was just like holding it. So blessedly.
But there was a point to that plot, and I cannot remember it.
Because they cycled all of Charles's blood through her to cure his blood disease.
It was so funny. It was so funny to me.
They also used some weird phrasing there, too, because they were like, once Charles has passed completely through you. And I was like, what? It was some really awkward phrasing I didn't care for.
Well, because they also referred to it as like his dirty blood or something, and I was like, I don't like that either. But so then we had. I've just been loving the season. This season has done the unthinkable. It's made me love Jughead.
Okay.
I love Jughead's plot. The fantastic foresight is so funny. They figured out that he stole a page from Reggie's memory book.
Yeah.
And so Percival taught Reggie how to do ventriloquism in order to distract Jughead. So Percival tried to like break into Jughead's mind, but there was a sign that said Percival keep out, so he couldn't get in. So it was kind of that was kind of exactly what happened. And so that's where the ventriloquism came in. And no, I'm failing.
That is where the ventriloquism came in. So then basically they came out of it, and Percival was like, it's going to be harder than it seems. Does Jughead have any kind of like a totem or whatever? And Reggie was like, well, all through high school, he wore this beanie.
Stupid beanie.
And also, here's my thing. If he put it away in the time capsule, then it's clearly not that important to him anymore. So I don't believe it would work the same way if he got rid of it.
So basically, he steals it. We don't see any of it.
No.
Percival puts it on and could walk through the door.
Yeah.
And
he basically turned Jughead's powers up to 11. So now he can't filter out what he's hearing. He's hearing everything all the time, no matter what. Mm-hmm. So he can't do his show anymore, and he can't be around people because it's like deafening. So he went back to the bunker.
You love that fucking bunker so much.
It's the dumbest location on the show, and it's my favorite one. So
I don't know. I think the diner and the boxing ring is pretty dumb.
That at least has a plot.
Sure.
No, so he's back in the bunker, and for a minute it was quiet, and then he started hearing voices again, and some of it was dialogue we heard in this episode, and some of it was dialogue from episodes previous, and then we all put together that he is hearing Rivervale Jughead and his type, because we also could hear keys, so he's hearing all kinds of stuff, and then at the end it flickered and the D turned into a V.
There was one last scene with Betty and Veronica where Betty wants to get into absinthe.
They're just drinking absinthe. She wants to rent the casino to have a serial killer con.
I was bad today. I was really bad today. But you're right. I can't wait for this.
And then there's just this little tick of acting from Lily where Veronica is like, oh. And then she's like, And Lily just goes to grab her absinthe glass and she's like, unbelievable.
I want a supercut of all of her
tiny little moments. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
So we have at least one. I think we have 2 weeks off.
There's 1 week off, then an episode, and then 1 week off, and then an episode, and then at some point there's still 2 more episodes after that. Or no, 4 more episodes after that.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing this until December.
We're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives. Wish we're already dead. This is our purgatory.
We've been dead all along, and Jughead is writing our story in the bunker.
Okay, we got shit to do. So like and subscribe. Bye. Our dislike button is broken, so if you don't like it, you have to like it. And
Yep. Mm-hmm. Bye.